A touching tribute to a soldier who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
It's not just those who die for us that are the heroes, but those who are willing to die for us.
We take you to North Ogden, where the community is honoring their former mayor on the one-year anniversary of his death.
A break from the cold, but we're keeping our eye on another storm. I'll show you when in the forecast.
It just makes me so angry that someone could be so careless because this is my child.
A dog recovering after a surgery left some extra marks. The veterinarian who did the procedure is responding in a story you'll only see on Fox 13.
And it could be a game changer for amputees around the world.
I'm able to take 2 steps at a time, which I have not done in 3 years of losing a leg.
We'll show you the process to develop this life-changing piece of hardware made right here in Utah.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
Right now, the Major flying proud tonight in North Ogden, commemorating 1 year since the death of then North Ogden Mayor Major Brent Taylor.
The young father of 7 was killed while serving our country in Afghanistan during a so-called insider attack while finishing his 4th deployment.
That flag is just one of the powerful ways the North Ogden community is honoring Major Taylor this week.
Tonight, in an early Veterans Day celebration, hundreds gathered to remember those who have made that ultimate sacrifice.
Fox 13's Elle Thomas was at the emotional ceremony. She joins us live tonight from North Ogden City Hall. Elle?
Yeah, Brian, Kirsten, you know what was really amazing about this event is they took a tragedy and they made it into something wonderful, focusing on everyone who has served. And that is part of it. All of these flags you see behind me, 320 flags representing men and women from across North Ogden who have served, continue to serve, and of course those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice.
This is you.
Hey, that's me.
I'm so proud of you.
Among a field of flags.
The first thing I think of is respect.
It's a day full of honor for those who have served.
This one's Brent's, but yeah, this one is Brent's.
And for those who have paid the ultimate price.
It's really hard to think it's been a year. 365 days of waking up every day, trying to take it one day at a time.
On the 1-year anniversary of North Ogden Mayor Major Brent Taylor's death.
With everything in my soul, I miss my husband.
This community is turning tragedy into triumph.
But I think you'd be extremely proud of the way that our country, the community here, and our state has grown. I think you would love every minute of it.
Coming together, remembering, honoring, and supporting everyone who has given something.
That it's not just those who die for us that are the heroes, but those who are willing to die for us.
For the red, white, and blue.
They have died for this. And to me, this is one of the most sacred symbols. To me, that's everything that America stands for is right here in this flag.
The Field of Honor will be here at North Ogden City Hall throughout the rest of the week. They are also encouraging everybody to replace your front porch light with a green light bulb as a way to show your respect throughout the entire month of November. Live in North Ogden, Elle Thomas, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A beautiful ceremony, Elle. Thank you. Now, last year, many across the country found hope in the final message that Major Taylor posted to Facebook just days before he died, and it's a powerful reminder for us this week as we vote on Tuesday. He wrote, "As the USA gets ready to vote in our own election, I hope everyone back home exercises their precious right to vote, and that whether the Republicans or Democrats win, that we all remember that we have far more as Americans that unites us than divides us. United we stand, divided we fall. God bless America."
Tonight, in a Fox 13 exclusive, a puppy in Weber County is recovering from multiple cuts on her stomach and an IV left in one of her legs after a routine surgery earlier this week.
And now the owner is upset with the veterinarian, who does admit someone in her office made a mistake. Fox 13's Adam Herbett spoke to the owner and the vet tonight.
Let's see you shake. Come on, let's see you shake.
Ruby, the golden doodle, is still learning, but today she's sleepy because she's on pain meds and she's had a rough week.
We saw her just like yapping at her arm like she was like chewing on something. When I see the IV, it just makes me so angry that someone could be so careless because this is my child.
Then when she looked at her dog's stomach, she saw the scars from something more than just a routine spay.
I was in tears. If you cut someone, that's a big deal. You should not be cutting dogs.
I didn't think it was a big deal. I was amazed because that's not what the dog looked like when she went home.
Veterinarian Kathy Barrett says a pair of bad clippers nicked Ruby when they prepped her for surgery, which is why they threw those clippers away. She says she thinks it may have gotten worse because Ruby started licking her wounds.
She had the cone on. She's never taken the cone off. I hung up on her because she kept trying to tell me that it was Ruby's fault, that Ruby was too active, that Ruby wouldn't hold still. You're blaming my dog for your mistakes.
But when it comes to the IV left in the dog's arm, the office says that mistake was 100% their fault.
I'm sorry, I'm human, and yes, mistakes are made. I don't feel that this was a life-threatening mistake. We usually take them off while they're on the table, and I don't know why it didn't get taken off.
If we left it in, it could honestly do damage. I don't want my money back. I don't care about my money. I care about other dogs going in and hopefully not getting what I got.
Despite all of the back and forth between this dog owner and the veterinarian, there is one thing that they both agree on. There should be some sort of checklist for every dog before they leave this office. Dr. Barrett says that's one of the things they will be implementing moving forward to prevent cases like this from happening again. Reporting in Ogden tonight, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A little warm up today statewide.
Yeah, and here in northern Utah, a little hazy, but man, some beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, we still have beautiful weather all across the state. Northern Utah, yes, the haze still around. We've been talking about air quality. With warmer temperatures getting close to where we should be for this time of year, highlighting this beautiful sunset earlier on from Magna, looking over towards the Oquirrh Mountains. The question is are we going to set the sun here on these warmer temperatures? Well, today, definitely warmer than what we've been experiencing. Of course, over the past few days, we made it up to the mid-50s today in Salt Lake City. 50 in Provo. Now, sometimes as we do have the haze, we get that inversion setting up. In some locations, the inversion can be a little bit stronger, trapping in that cold air, like Utah County, also over towards the Uinta Basin. Thus, temperatures not quite as warm, but still a little bit more comfortable. We got up to 53 degrees in Price today. Not quite in the 60s in Moab. Again, the inversion sometimes a little bit stronger as we move closer towards the winter months, like down in Moab. But pleasant temperatures in Cedar City at 67, and we did make up it into the 70s for the Dixie area. Now, right now, as we stand, Wasatch Front, many locations dipping down into the 30s. We've got still 40s in Bountiful, currently 30 degrees in Park City. You can really see that inversion when you take a look in contrast and comparison with the higher elevations where it should be colder. Not much of a temperature variance between Park City and Provo, where again that colder air a little bit trapped in, at least in Utah County. Now 34 currently in Price, as well as 33 in Green River. Right now in St. George, we're at 53 degrees. Throughout the afternoon into the evening, we've seen these high-level clouds push their way across northern Utah, incorporating the Wasatch Front over towards the Uinta Basin as well. As you're seeing, there's no showers with that. It's not deep moisture, just these high-level clouds. At least the threat of showers a little bit further to the north and east, so we don't have any concerns, but we'll hang on to some clouds in the overnight hours across northern Utah as temperatures cooling down, but not as cold as we've been experiencing over the past few mornings. Actually, as you look tomorrow morning, it's going to be sunny, dry, no concerns for your Monday morning commute. We're already going to be up to the 40s by 9 o'clock. So temperatures warming up. We're still on this warming trend. Is there something out there, though, that threatens to bring those temperatures down? We'll check that 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Tonight, 2 teens are facing attempted murder charges after shooting another teen at a McDonald's in Lehi. This happened just after midnight at the McDonald's off Main Street. Police say the victim and his friend were there to get ice cream, and that's when they got in a fight with several other teens. Then at some point, one of them pulled out a gun and fired shots, a bullet grazing the side of the victim's head.
We actually had an officer in the area on scene and saw the vehicle flee in the parking lot. Short vehicle pursuit ensued on the suspect vehicle. They lost a tire. Tire popped on the vehicle, and so they had to stop. That's how we were able to take them into custody. We had an officer doing an outstanding job.
The two teen suspects are now at the Slate Canyon Youth Center in Provo. Police say the victims and the suspects did not know each other and that this shooting was not gang-related.
Police in West Valley City are looking for someone who left the scene of a deadly crash early this morning. Officers came across the scene of a fatal accident at 3620 South and 3200 West around 1 a.m. Investigators say two vehicles were traveling in opposite directions when they collided head-on. One of those passengers ended up dying in the hospital. Witnesses told police the driver of the other vehicle, a Hispanic male, took off.
So he's still outstanding. After a lengthy search, we incorporated dogs into the search. The suspect is still outstanding as of this point. I know detectives were called out and we're following up on witnesses and some leads that they've got.
West Valley City Police ask if you have any information on the suspect to please give them a call.
A Camas man is behind bars accused of taking nude photos of himself with a woman's phone while on the job. Police say the suspect did this after a woman went to the cell phone store where he works to upgrade her phone. Now, she noticed the nude photos were sent back to his phone after they synced up to her laptop. The suspect confirmed to police that the number the photos were sent to was his own, but he denies engaging in the sexual act.
Funeral arrangements have been announced for an Emery County fire chief who died earlier this year. The City of Green River's fire chief, Philip Engelman, died on September 29th after his car drifted into oncoming traffic on Highway 6, hitting two semis head-on. Chief Engelman's daughter tells Fox 13 his funeral will take place Saturday, November 23rd at 11 in the morning at the Green River Public Safety Building. The service is open to the public.
Today in Midvale, community members came together to donate blood in honor of a fallen officer. Sergeant Corey Peterson died 1 year ago today after he went to the hospital to treat pancreatitis. He received 35 different blood donations to keep him alive for a month until he passed away. Sergeant Peterson's son Travis says he would have been happy if just 35 people donated blood, all to match the number his father received. But to his surprise, the community went above and beyond.
It's a hard day all the way around, but seeing all the people willing to give and help out makes it a lot better.
Sergeant Peterson was a decorated officer in the state of Utah across multiple departments and became sergeant with Unified Police 2 years ago. Travis says with today's blood drive exceeding expectations, he hopes to make this an annual event.
Still to come, some big changes are happening to Airbnb's policies after a deadly party. What you need to know the next time you book a room.
People who are thoughtful understand that it wasn't true.
He was cleared in the biggest case of political corruption in Utah state history. But why was he ever charged?
Of all the offices in our country, the most powerful is the prosecutor.
What former Attorney General John Swallow learned and why he's grateful for the entire experience. Coming up on 3 Questions.
This is Fox 13 News.
November is National Adoption Month, and in honor of that, Premier Adoption in St. George and Utah Foster Care celebrated families this weekend.
Now, families who have adopted children or are interested in learning more about adoption could eat lunch, socialize with others, and even let their kids ride tractors and earn prizes. If you want to learn more about adoption or foster care, you can call the Adoption Exchange or the Utah Foster Care Foundation.
You guys ready? Yeah! 1, 2, 3.
It's officially pheasant hunting season in Utah this weekend. Utah Division of Wildlife Resources personnel released plenty of birds across the state ahead of the hunt. Private lands used to have a 14-day hunting season, but the pheasant population is large enough to support an entire month of hunting. The season goes until December 1st on both private and public lands.
And it looks like fall decided to make a comeback there. Blue skies, not a cloud up there.
A strong comeback, I would say.
Yes, thankfully.
Thankfully, yeah, for sure. Of course, middle of last week, we were in the 30s, climbing into the 50s this weekend. Welcome sight for sure. We want to keep this weather and trend going here. And that's what we're looking at least to start off the work week. Now, as I was looking last night, long-range models did show a storm out there. Let's give you an update on that. But first, let's highlight some of the beautiful weather we've been experiencing across the state, especially today where we give you this photo from a viewer. This is today up Big Cottonwood Canyon. A little bit of mixture of clouds. Yeah, we have these high-level clouds pushing through northern Utah, and it was hazy throughout the valley. So to get a little bit of escape from the haze, you had to head for the hills. And a beautiful shot there, as you can see, still snow-capped mountains, and we could definitely use some more snow. But we're not going to get it. Not right now, no. Let's take a look today where we did get up to 56 degrees. That's exactly where we should be for this time of year. Record set back in 1965 at 71 degrees. That would definitely be nice to fill. I don't think we'll be getting back into the 70s, but there is a potential that we could be reaching the 60s. Currently, though, under some calm winds, we have temperatures along the Wasatch Front in the 30s. We're right now at 38 degrees in Salt Lake City. Provo at 34 degrees. We go to your headlines, what to expect, where, yes, we're going to continue this warming trend. High pressure slowly building in and parking itself across the state. This is going to keep the storms away, at least here for the next few days. But as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about what the models are indicating, a little bit of a long-range forecast here, where for tonight, we're still going to hold on to a few high-level clouds that are going to be pushing through northern Utah. As we take a wider view, once again, the shower threat well north and east of the state, but high-level clouds pushing through will allow for temperatures not to drop too much, but still on the cold side for sure. Near freezing along the Wasatch Front, where over the past few mornings we were in the teens and then 20s. Now tonight we're going to be in the 30s, but this cool northwesterly flow still in effect. The flow is changing a little bit out of the west. High pressure off towards the areas such as California, just off the coast there. That's been a problem throughout California. Again, as I mentioned, with that flow, still not changing up, where we are expecting to see some fairly decent breezes pushing through Southern California. High pressure will begin to work its way towards the state, though. And as that does so, we're going to allow those temperatures to climb. Let's, again, looking long range to see if there's that storm out there. Now, as we look at that northwest flow, again, the showers stay to the east of us. So as we transition, looking at our computer models going through Monday, no concerns. We start to see more of a westerly flow heading into Tuesday. That's going to allow temperatures to really increase, as we'll see some mild air. Now, showers to the south don't have an impact across even southern Utah. We're keeping it dry all across the state. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that high pressure still in place. Now, as we go into the weekend, there is a cold front that starts to sweep down from Canada. But right now, the models are indicating that we'll keep the flow a little bit out of the northwest, but pushing the showers to the east, which actually brings the cold air and the snow throughout Wyoming and Colorado. Kind of similar to the cold front that hit last week, but the really colder air stays to the east. We might see a little temperature drop, but the storm not having an impact. So we're really going to keep an extended period of time where we'll hold on to this nice autumn weather. And of course, we saw it this weekend. It will continue on tomorrow. We're looking at mostly sunny skies. Still a little bit of cloud cover throughout the morning, but we'll peel away the clouds throughout the afternoon as highs reaching the 50s, upper 50s along the Wasatch Front. Hopefully we break free of a stronger inversion in Utah County, allowing those temperatures to climb. We're looking at 50s in Price, 60s in Moab, low 70s once again in St. George, where for your 7-day forecast for the Dixie area, it is nice. Mid-70s by Wednesday and holding on to the 70s heading through the week into the weekend as well. So make those weekend plans. Southern Utah, definitely a destination spot. Now for northern Utah, upper 50s, we do make it to 60 degrees by Wednesday, Friday as well. Kind of a mixture of some partly cloudy skies, sunshine as well. And for the weekend right now, those models not showing that colder air funneling in quite yet. Now that could change, maybe bringing some clouds, but no showers, which we do need the moisture, but we also get some nice fall temperatures. Now, this morning I was saying, hey, good time maybe to start hanging those Christmas lights.
Yeah, well, the weather's nice for it.
Do it right
now. Do not turn them on.
That was what I said, right? Put them up. Don't turn them on. Wait till after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Pre-planning. It's good.
A good PSA.
Nice and early for it.
That's good.
That way you're not scrambling when the temperatures do drop.
Going on that ladder when it's icy. Don't like it.
Don't turn them on. Thanks, Breck.
Still to come, see how scientists in our area are looking to help amputees get around easier than ever.
Welcome back. Utah engineers are working on a bionic leg that's lightweight and helps amputees walk farther for longer.
Fox 13's Jordan Hogan explains how this has the potential to help people all across the world.
It's an impressive piece of tech powered by motors, artificial intelligence, and sensors The Bionic Engineering Lab at the University of Utah is working with a prototype bionic leg, and they're fine-tuning it with people like Kerry Finn. He lost his leg 3 years ago due to complications with type 2 diabetes, but this new bionic leg is giving him hope.
Walking it at first was like walking on a trampoline with one leg. You'd bounce, but once you got used to it and they do the adjustments, the feeling is fantastic. It's a whole new world.
The team working on this says the bionic leg will help improve the lives of amputees by letting them walk faster and for longer.
It also assists me with walking upstairs. I'm able to take 2 steps at a time, which I have not done in 3 years of losing a leg.
A lot of the abilities gained by the bionic leg are thanks to how lightweight it is.
It's actually lighter than the biological leg for most people. We think this is very important because of the comfort. We want subjects to be able and people to be able to use it in everyday life and keep it on all day.
Before it can be taken home, it needs to undergo rigorous testing. The leg's programming can be adjusted on the fly via Wi-Fi. Bionic engineering grad student Sarah Hood says amputees testing the leg have had to start from square one.
It is kind of like being a kid again, so to kind of have to learn to relax and let the leg do the work rather than them having to do the work is sometimes a little bit tricky.
But that's not stopping Finn from looking to the future.
I felt if I could do anything to further the cause of prosthesis and how they work, I thought it would be a good thing, even if I don't get to see it in my lifetime.
The bionic engineers think this will be ready to use in the next 5 to 10 years. They also think as technology improves, there's a potential this can be applied to kids too. Jordan Hogan, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Democrats hitting the trail hard on Sunday. I'm Christina Coleman with the latest on the race.
Now to national news. Frontrunners for the Democratic presidential nomination hit the campaign trail this morning as a new Fox poll sheds light on the status of this race.
Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
Former Vice President Joe Biden holding on to his lead in the Democratic presidential race. A new Fox News poll shows Biden leads the nomination race and beats Trump by 12 points in a matchup. And at a rally in Sterling, Virginia, Biden took on the NRA.
My God, what are we doing? That's part of why we're losing the soul of this country. We have to get it back. And the NRA is part of the reason we're losing our soul.
Biden isn't the only one catching steam. A Fox News poll shows Mayor Pete Buttigieg gaining momentum over Senator Kamala Harris, putting him in fourth behind frontrunners Biden, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Senator Bernie Sanders. The South Bend, Indiana mayor says he's ready to go up against President Trump in a debate.
There's a lot of tough talk and chest thumping and all that sort of thing, but it's not the same as strength. There's more to strength and toughness than that kind of thing. Real toughness, I think, is standing by your word. Real toughness is standing by your friends and allies.
And Warren talked about her health care plan Sunday at an event in Iowa.
Our time to win the fight for Medicare for all and save our people. 2020 is our time to dream big, fight hard, and win.
Despite a shrinking field of candidates down to 16 from 27 in July, some Democratic primary voters say they wish they had more options. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
In New Hampshire, friends of a missing couple found dead in Texas held a vigil in their memory. The family of James and Michelle Butler says the couple were an avid road trippers on a journey to see America when they were found dead. The couple's death has been ruled a homicide, and police say they've identified a person of interest. Police expect to release more information on this tomorrow.
In Northern California, authorities say 2 murder suspects escaped from a Northern California jail today. 21-year-old Santos Samuel Fonseca and 20-year-old Jonathan Salazar were being held in the Monterey County Adult Detention Facility since last year, and they were awaiting trial. They were held pending murder charges in 2 unrelated cases. The Monterey County Sheriff's Office says they're investigating how they escaped.
McDonald's announced its CEO and president for the past 4 years is out after the board determined he violated company policy. The company and CEO demonstrated poor judgment involving a recent consensual relationship that he had with an employee. In an email to employees, the CEO wrote, quote, "This was a mistake. Given the values of the company, I agree with the board that it is time for me to move on."
Drastic changes are coming to Airbnb following a deadly party at one of its home rentals.
Yeah, a fifth person has died this weekend following a shooting at a San Francisco area home, and now Airbnb is taking action.
Rick Damigella has a closer look at the new policies and how they may impact you.
A Halloween house party turns deadly. 5 people shot and killed at this Airbnb rental in the San Francisco area.
Orinda is a very small, very safe, very family-oriented community. It is not accustomed to violence.
The shooting is still under investigation, but Airbnb is banning party houses at its rental properties to prevent similar incidents from taking place. The company's CEO tweeting, "We must do better, and we will. This is unacceptable." In additional tweets, Airbnb detailed a new course of action, saying it's implementing a more stringent guest screening program, creating a party house rapid response team, and anyone found in violation of the upgraded policies could be removed. Authorities say the Halloween party in Orinda, California was advertised on social media and more than 100 people showed up. The deadly shooting took place Thursday night at an Airbnb rental that specifically does not allow parties.
There are going to be folks that don't follow the rules. That's unfortunately the way the world works.
Rick Damigella, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In world news tonight, tomorrow marks 40 years since the siege of the U.S. Embassy in Iran and the hostage crisis that followed.
Fox's Trey Yanks is in Jerusalem with a look back at and where things stand now.
As tensions continue between the United States and Iran, the world tomorrow will mark the 40th anniversary of the Iran hostage crisis. Today, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, spoke to students in a speech that was aired on state television. The Ayatollah doubled down on Iran's commitments not to engage in talks with the United States. He added that negotiations about Iran's nuclear program amid heavy American sanctions will not solve Iran's problems.
For the other side, getting Iran to sit at the negotiating table and accept talks means bringing the Islamic Republic to its knees. They want to prove that they could finally bring Iran to its knees and make it come to the negotiating table through economic pressure and severe sanctions.
Again, the Ayatollah's comments do come on the eve of the 1979 Iran hostage crisis anniversary. The standoff began when a group of protesters angry about American-Iranian relations stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 66 people hostage. Ultimately, 52 Americans were held for 444 days. Decades later, amid a summer filled with Iranian or Iranian-backed attacks on Western oil infrastructure, the Iranians targeting the world's largest oil field, and a resurgence of the country's nuclear program, the world is once again watching closely the relationship between Washington and Tehran. As for Iranian tension in the Middle East, over the weekend, a series of rockets were fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel, further highlighting the tension between Iran, Iranian proxies, and American allies in the Middle East. In Jerusalem, Trey Yanks, Fox News.
Up next in sports, the Jazz facing the Clippers for the second time in 5 days, but this time LA had its big gun on the floor, while the Utes jumped even higher in the polls following Saturday's gritty win over the Huskies. Back in a bit.
We're back. What can change in just about 24 hours in California?
Yeah, bad loss to the Kings on Friday. They did beat the Clippers, though, at home on Wednesday, but no Kawhi Leonard. Yes, Kawhi Leonard definitely in the lineup for round 2 with LA, where the Jazz reeled off the first 8. Nice opening half for Bojan Bogdanovic. The money ball drops, forcing Doc Rivers to burn a timeout. Donovan Mitchell on the receiving end of the kick out. 11-2 Utah in the first. The Clips did begin to find their groove, though. This move here just off the charts. Not sure how Kawhi got that shot off, let alone banked it. Then Patrick Beverley on the tip-in. All of a sudden, the Jazz trailed by 9, but it was a game of runs. Donovan going hang time. Oh, so friendly is the bounce. Utah 41-39 at the half. Then to start the third, little lob up for Rudy. The pterodactyl Gobert manages to finish it. More Utah up top. Second floor lob from Royce O'Neal for Mitchell. Take it easy, number 45. He had 36. The lead got as high as 10 for Utah in the third before Kawhi got hot again. 2 threes in the course of a minute 30 for him. But more important, Clippers back on top. JaMychal Green adding a big tray as well. 105-94. Utah dropping to 4-3 on this season. Because of Florida's loss to Georgia on Saturday, the Utes have moved up another spot to 8th in the country in the new AP poll, and once again they control their destiny in the Pac-12. But yesterday's bout at Washington did not come easy. In fact, they trailed by 8 in Seattle toward the end of the third before spurting off a run of 20 unanswered points. It started with this pick 6 from Jalen Johnson, all while their senior signal caller, Tyler Huntley, continues to do his thing, shredding the Huskies defense in the fourth quarter. Kyle Whittingham singing Huntley's praises afterward.
He means so much to this football team. He's one of the elite quarterbacks in the country. I'll stand by that. Had some great catches. Sampson had that great catch. So there was guys making plays for him. But he put some balls in some spots that were incredible. And proud of Tyler. And he's still not 100%, as you can obviously see.
So the Utes getting some help from Oregon last night to sit pretty at the top of the Pac-12 South. The division is theirs should they win out over UCLA, Arizona, and Colorado. And Utah has a chance to get Huntley healthy again with a bye next week. NFL, with Joe Flacco out for the season, the Broncos started their 7th quarterback since 2017. What a way to start Josh Allen. Holy highlight reel. Cortland Sutton. That was a Herculean catch if I've ever seen one. Then the 6th-round pick back in 16 has Noah Fant. Who can tackle him? Nobody can. 75 on that touchdown. 14-3 Denver over the Browns. Then how quick is Phillip Lindsay? I promise I did not speed this video up. The Broncos double up at 24-12. It's been a rough campaign for Baker Mayfield, but he does connect with Jarvis Landry here to get Cleveland within 5. Mayfield did not throw a pick for the first time all season, but he's incomplete here. The Broncos hold on 24-19, and Allen in his first career NFL game, he got the John Elway treatment afterward. 3 races left before a NASCAR champion gets crowned. Trouble in Texas for Brad Keselowski. Looks like he may have made contact with the banana peel, swivels into the wall. Ricky Stenhouse can't avoid him from behind. Keselowski ending up in the grass. Kevin Harvick off to a great start with stage 1 in the bag. Eric Almirola responded with stage 2 before Harvick took the checkered flag at the end as well to lock up a spot in the final in Miami in 2 weeks. And the Grizzlies hosting Idaho this afternoon at the Maverick Center. The Steelheads poke one through in the second. Will Merchant making quick work with the stick for the 1-0 lead. Utah plenty of time to match, but they couldn't. Missing on all 25 shots. Several looks here in the third. The Grizzlies fall to 3-4-3 on the season. Of course, we'll be busy coming up in Sports Page. We'll talk about that BYU-Utah State win, along with more Utah-Washington, all kinds of stuff.
And the Jazz back in action later this week back home.
Yeah, we'll get some reaction.
Hoping to pick some things up. Yeah. Thank you, Morgan.
And still to come, it's a and that means that new books for teens struggling with substance abuse. We'll take you inside the new library at Odyssey House.
I feel like I'm getting my reputation back.
Utah's former Attorney General found himself at the center of the state's biggest corruption case.
We don't see any basis, never did, for any kind of criminal charges to be filed.
The elected office, he says, completely lacks checks and balances, and why he's not bitter. John Swallow coming up.
This is Fox 13 News.
Thanks for joining us. The Odyssey House is a resource here in Salt Lake City that helps people of all ages battle addiction, specifically substance abuse.
But recently, a generous donation that helped transform an important part of that group's mission. Here's Fox 13's Haley Higgins.
The 9 emotional lives of cats. The 9 emotional lives. The feeling of turning crisp pages into accomplishments, getting lost in the words, starting a new book can be a great escape.
Disconnecting for a little while from media or computers or the internet has been really beneficial for these kids to be able to really focus on themselves.
But for the teens at the Odyssey Adolescent Center, books are much more than an escape. They're a way to cope.
It's been a really long time since we've had an update in our library, so this is huge for the kids. They've been super excited.
And today, they get a fresh start. With support from a federal grant, Utah State Library Division was able to completely redo the aging library and fully stock it with age-specific books for the teens in treatment.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since we've had an update in our library, so this is huge for the kids. They've been super excited.
And Jaden is looking forward to one genre in particular.
And for me personally, I really enjoy reading horror books. It gives you like a good sort of anxiety. It makes you like very interested. It's a real page turner, you know. You're just very invested in the book, and it really just can capture you and you can just be stuck reading it for a long period of time.
In this day and age with easy access to technology and other distractions, physical books seem to be less and less common, but Herbert will do anything he can to keep them around.
Having the actual book in front of you and being able to flip the pages is just that much more of an experience, and it really just lets you get that much more into it.
And share them with others.
It's just like, oh my God, did you see how crazy that part was? And it's just like, it makes you just feel that much more connected and makes it feel like it's that much more of a community.
Director of Youth Services at Oddity House, Cammie Clark, says most of the kids in their program have developed a love for reading, and giving them new books reinforces that. Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Let's get another look at your weather forecast. We're loving the weekend. Would love to see this weather continue on as we're looking at calm conditions across the state. We've got clear skies in St. George, current temperature 53 degrees. A few high clouds rolling through northern Utah. We have upper 30s right now. Temperatures look to not get too cold tonight. Still chilly, though, as we'll be close to freezing along the Wasatch Front. But again, that's far cry where, of course, a few days ago we were in the teens for morning lows. So definitely things are warming up for us, but things are also dry across the state. Precipitation outlook as we look ahead here for the next couple of weeks. For the Climate Prediction Center, looking at the precipitation possibilities, below normal precipitation expected all across the state here, and keeping it fairly dry for the western United States because that high pressure that's off towards the west really pushing the showers away, and it looks like we're not going to see much activity throughout most of the country except towards the areas such as Texas where we can potentially see above normal precipitation. Now, as we look at that and giving you updates on the drought situation across the state where things definitely have been decreasing and finding some concerns, particularly as we look towards south central, southeastern Utah, where just even a week ago we had kind of a moderate concern, but we moved towards the severe category. That doesn't take too long, where if we are lacking in moisture, things could quickly change here, and that's what we're finding. So even though we've had a couple of storms bringing some snow across northern Utah, which is helpful, we need some of those showers to be pushing their way through the south. Now, high clouds, as mentioned, for northern Utah currently. We're still under this northwesterly flow. Showers towards the east. We don't have any storms to be really looking at to start the work week off. The high pressure, slow to move towards the state of Utah, but as it does, it will keep things dry with temperatures mild. And that gives you an opportunity, if you haven't had the chance, to rake up those leaves where, boy, these chilly temperatures really weakening those leaves, where a lot of the leaves have already fallen to the ground, but you might need to sweep those out of the lawns. And Mother Nature will provide the weather to do so, as we'll keep those winds light, not seeing that precipitation, and some very comfortable temperatures. Let's get to those temperatures for tomorrow, where for many locations we'll be in the 50s and 60s as we look towards western Utah, maybe a little bit cooler as we look over towards Wendover. Nice weather, pleasant, and just a great temperature range for southern Utah. We're looking at 60s and even 70s like in Kanab, and low 70s in St. George. We're hanging on to the sunshine central through northeastern Utah. The inversion a little bit stronger, though, for the Uinta Basin. You'll only be reaching the upper 40s. Elsewhere, it's 50s and 60s, even mid-60s in Moab, turning towards the Wasatch Front. Starting off the day, we can still have those high-level clouds, becoming mostly sunny in the afternoon. Highs look to be a little bit warmer than what we found today. Upper 50s in Salt Lake City, low 50s in Park City. Now, for St. George, as we'll be in the 70s tomorrow, we're staying there, and even mid-70s by Wednesday. Just pleasant autumn weather for sure, and keeping it dry even as we look towards next weekend. And for northern Utah, we've got the 50s and hanging on to it, and we do make it into the 60s by the middle of the week. Also a possibility on Friday. Storms, not a concern. Maybe a few clouds on Sunday, but as you can see, we'll keep temperatures for most days above normal.
He was involved in what became known as the biggest political scandal in Utah history. Former Attorney General John Swallow and his predecessor Mark Shurtleff were accused of corruption in a complicated case of pay to play. And while both either had charges against them dropped or were acquitted at trial, there are those who are still skeptical. But John Swallow considers this a new day with the challenges of yesteryear behind him. I sat down with him and asked him 3 questions. Have you been able to figure out why corruption charges were filed against you? At what point, where in that whole episode was the tipping point that the powers that be said we're going after John Swallow on corruption?
You know, that's the most interesting question that I think I've ever been asked, because we don't see any basis, never did, for any kind of criminal charges to be filed. In fact, the State Bar, which is the entity that's charged with like policing the ethics of lawyers, they actually investigated everything as well and reviewed all the evidence, and they cleared me on any ethics issues. And so there really was nothing there. And if you went to the trial and listened, there was nothing there. We have concluded that it was political. And that's why I was charged. And it was, which is another commentary for another question, because if you can do this to someone like the sitting Attorney General and not have a basis in it, who is safe from the type of abuse of power that can happen to anybody in this country, where prosecutors have this unmitigated power to do whatever they want to charge anybody for anything?
Here in Utah, the political system has county attorneys running partisan races. In other words, they have to declare their political party affiliation. How does that affect justice being served in those jurisdictions?
You know, one of the things that I've learned going forward, and I didn't really fully appreciate even as Attorney General, is the absolute power and discretion a prosecutor has. Of all the offices in our country, the most powerful is the prosecutor, and the least guarded is the prosecutor. A governor, for example, has a legislature that is a check and a balance to the governor. The legislature has a governor and other members as a check and a balance, but the prosecutor has no one supervising him or her. It's an elected position, and so it is ripe for abuse politically. And one of the things I'd like to work on going forward is reform, to take what's called unqualified immunity, or in other words, no check and a balance of a prosecutor, away from the prosecutor, so that if they misuse their power, they can suffer a consequence. Today, there is no consequence for a misuse of prosecutorial power.
Are you bitter? And if not, why not?
You know, I'm not bitter. I feel blessed to have had the opportunity and privilege to serve. I got into politics as a young member of the Utah legislature. Right away, I started to drive policy. I passed the largest tax cut in the history of our state as like a sophomore in the legislature. I've had many great experiences, and now I have my life back and my freedom. Now people know, people who are thoughtful understand that it wasn't true, and so I feel like I'm getting my reputation back. And so if I could have looked at today, where I am today, 5 years ago, and said I would be here today, my debt's paid off, exonerated, having my life back as a 56-year-old and able to make decisions based on purpose, I would have taken this moment 100 out of 100 times. I feel so blessed and grateful to have a wonderful family and wife, and to have my life back. I don't feel bitter. I feel blessed and grateful for all my blessings.
John Swallow, former Attorney General for the great state of Utah, thank you so much for being part of Three Questions.
It's been a pleasure to be with you, Bob. Thank you very much.
And if you'd like to see Bob's complete interview with former Attorney General John Swallow, including what he would go back and change if he could, and advice to future elected officials about how to avoid the trouble he's had, head over to fox13now.com. And of course, to hear the full interview in podcast form, just download it wherever you get your podcasts. Finally tonight, a St. George man is now laying claim to a world record. Here he is.
According to our partners at the St. George News, Josh Connor broke the world record for running the fastest half marathon. That's him. He's dressed as a cowboy. Connor crossed the finish line at the Snow Canyon Half Marathon with lasso in hand, around 1 hour, 36 minutes.
I'm trying to see if he's wearing cowboy boots.
That was my question. I don't know.
I can't see. Can we take the CG down so we can see if he's wearing?
Would love.
I can't tell.
So Connor says that he still needs to wait about 12 weeks until Guinness World Records certifies his world record attempt. And he says depending on the outcome, he might try some more. Huh. Thanks for joining us.
Sports Page is coming up after QuickCast.